What is up, ABQ Business Podcast? This is Jason Rigby. I want to do a little short podcast for you today. I want to talk to you about when you instruct someone as a leader, what that looks like. And I got an email from Seth Godin, and we all know if you don't subscribe to Seth's blog, I encourage you to do it, especially if you're interested in marketing. But this isn't about marketing, this is about leadership. He says it's easy to do if you know how to do it. We all know what we're supposed to do because we've been doing it for 10 plus years. We're an expert. If we're a business owner, if we're a leader, we're probably an expert in what we're leading. And so transferring that and having the patience enough, this is where I fell as a leader, having the patience enough to allow that other person to flourish in their learning process and be patient in that process. Because we have two different kinds of people as a leader. We have the ones that come in and they're like a Mustang and they just bug you constantly. How do I do this? What do I do here? What and that should show you that, because you never have a people problem, you have a system problem. So if you have somebody that's coming in that's like on fire, ready to go, super excited about the job, and they're getting like just stomped on, or they have to wait or stop because they're waiting on you, you have a system problem. You haven't taken the time to make sure that you've systemized out the way that you reproduce yourself. And the ROI on that is huge. Think about if you could reproduce yourself. Maybe you don't get somebody at 100%. What if you got two people at 50% of you? And you're paying them accordingly. What ROI do you get there? So you got to think of it that way. The systems design set that it takes to say, hey, I'm going to reproduce myself. How do I do that? And how can I hire people to do things that I don't want to do, but I'm good at doing? That's where you begin to become a leader in the way that is exponential growth. So he says this is the dilemma that every game designer, form creator, and teacher faces. Writing an instruction manual, doing a survey, creating a map. They're all difficult tasks because of the translation that's required. The person doing the work already knows what they're trying to teach, but the person interacting with the manual doesn't. This is our responsibility to make sure it's palatable enough. Get this, it's palatable enough that they can understand it at their level in that time, at their evolution. They're coming into something brand new in the beginning. Maybe they have kind of an idea of how to do it. Maybe you bring somebody in to help you manage something, and they have pretty good leadership skills. You found that out when you interviewed them. And I hope you've taken the time to systemize your interview process. I don't care how big you are. If you're one person, you're going to hire two. This is a great time to get your hiring process down. We waste so much fucking money and time, so much, by just going off of hunches and hiring people because we like them, the way they act, the way they dress, the way they look, whatever it may be. I mean, I'm being straight up honest with you because I've gone through this. I've hired hundreds and hundreds of people. And the ones that I thought would work out never worked out, and the ones that didn't think out worked out. So this is an issue that we have. And the only way you're going to solve it is you taking the time to write these systems out. He says this, the empathy required here overwhelms many people, regardless of how well-meaning they might be. You having empathy, it's the superpower of being a leader. And that's the one thing that we all hate to do, is take the time to have empathy. To look at the person, put yourself in their shoes and say, what are they struggling with right now? As a leader, how can I take the time to help them and grow from there? That always is a huge ROI. You have to get in your head that your people are your greatest ROI, not your product, not your service, not the website, not the marketing, not the vendors that are coming in talking to you and taking you to lunch. You'll spend more time with them than you will your own people. And if you go out of business, they just have other people to take to lunch. It's not that big of a deal. Start focusing on your people and creating empathy with inside of yourself. And it's very simple to do. It's taking the time to value others. It's you saying, I am here to serve others. You're like, well, Jason, that's really, really fucking hard because I'm so busy. Well, you've created that. All you're doing is going into work, putting out fires. I've talked about this over and over again. You're going into work, putting out fires, and you're acting like an employee, not an employer. You're not acting like a business owner. A business owner, a proper business owner, is a leader that's just dealing with people, and he's delegated all of the tasks out so that he has no tasks. His day should be meetings and getting ROI with people. Your return on investment, when you take an employee that's disgruntled and you figure out the problem with them and you coach them and you take them to lunch and pay for it, and they share with you the problem that they're facing personally in their life and open up to you, the ROI in that is 100x. Empathy, guys. Empathy is your superpower. He says this also. After all, the person you're instructing doesn't know what you know yet. They might not learn the way you learn, and you might have come to your own knowledge via a different path. You've got to have the flexibility to allow people to learn in their. That's the problem. And you guys know this. That's the problem with higher education and school systems. It's a one. There's only one puzzle piece, and it fits one way. People don't learn that way. I don't learn off of books. I mean, I read books, but I have to take notes and study and really absorb every freaking sentence for me to really learn, because I can just skim past it. You know, because if I'm in a classroom and someone's just talking, I'm out. I'm thinking about 200 other things. We all learn differently. Allow that. Having that learning mindset and pushing that in your organization and finding out, have a meeting with your leaders, or if you're a small business, have a meeting with everyone and ask how they learn. What's the best way you learn? What's the best way you learn, Jim? Susan, what's the best way you learn? We've all come to knowledge in different ways. School of Hard Knocks for a lot of us, right? The 3 elements of successful instructional design might be: acknowledge that communicating what you know is difficult. That's the first thing. It is difficult to reproduce yourself. It is difficult to take your systems and design them out so that they're reproducible. It's difficult, but it's worth the time. It's worth the effort. It frees you up as a leader to do the number one thing that you should do, and that's coaching, teaching. You have to understand this. Your number one priority as a teacher is, if you go, a professor's number one priority, and we know this is all out of whack nowadays, but a professor's number one priority is his students. Should be. That they learn and that they grow, right? That's your number one priority as a leader. It's the same. You're a teacher. Acknowledge that communicating what you know is difficult. That's number one. Just say, this is difficult, but it's something I'm gonna purpose to do, and I'm gonna have the discipline and the fortitude to make this happen because my people deserve this. Number 2, find empathy for people who don't know what you know yet. This is what I was saying. How do you find empathy? You find empathy by spending time with your people and getting to know them on a personal level. You don't have to be friends with them, where you're hanging out with them on Friday nights. You can have team functions where you do a Friday night dinner or Friday night bowling or whatever. I'm not asking you to be friends with them. Some of you have become too close to your people, and so they feel they can take advantage of you. They feel like they can show up late because, Bill's cool with me. They feel like they can take extra days off. They don't have to work that day if they don't feel like. They just hang out for the day at work. So finding empathy is putting yourself in their shoes, understanding who they are, building a profile of them. You should know each of your people. You should know all about them. What do they like? What do they do? What sports teams do they like? Do they like to snowboard? What's going on in their life? Who are they? Have you had lunch with them? When's the last time you've had lunch with them? You know that statement, you should never eat alone? And then last is test the work often. Test everything. And we know this in marketing. It's so important, A/B testing. Test the work often. Test. And then finally, he says, humility in design dances with the arrogance of believing we can help other people move forward. I love that. Humility in design dances with the arrogance of believing we can help other people move forward. There needs to be this dichotomy of humility at the same point of this belief that we can help them move forward, not the arrogance of thinking that, oh, I've got this. I'm a leader. I move people forward all the time. Have you reproduced yourself? That's a true leader. Have you been able to take a month off and your business, and you come back to your business and it's doing better than you ever could imagine? That's a good leader. And imagine the freedom that you can experience to work on yourself, to be a better person, to help others, to do the things that you've always wanted to do. If you would take the time to study leadership, take the time to create systems, take the time to put yourself first, and all of those people around you will love you so much, and they will want to serve you. They will want to do the things that you have the vision for, and it will free you up to be creative, to create that vision and do what you need to do to overcome the obstacles of being a leader in 2022.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share, and go to ABQPodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.